Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here for our first chat and chew. Today, our facilitator is none other than the Reverend Sutton, and she's going to be speaking to our guest speaker today, none other than Reverend Dr. Carolyn Patterson. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are excited to have our first chat and chew here at First Church. And the reason why we decided to have this chat and chew is because we wanted to create a space where you can have organic conversation with the leadership of the church. And to that end, the leader of this church is Reverend Dr. Carol Lynn Patterson. Put your hands together for Pastor. We wanted to create a space for young people, for youth to be able to ask questions, the questions that may be in our mind that we've never made audible, but things that we wanted to be able to share and to find out more information about. And the reason why is because we want to be the adults that we needed when we were younger. And so to that end, we'll have a little conversation today. How are you, Dr. Patterson?
I'm very well, Reverend Shonda. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. We are so excited about your vision for youth ministry here at First Church. And so I just want to ask you what your thoughts are around that, around youth ministry and what you'd like to see young people do.
My thoughts are too many people make the mistake of calling the young people the church of tomorrow when they are the church of today.
Absolutely.
And I believe our young people belong in the center of the ministry and not on the periphery.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so we have some of our young people in the audience today. Hello. We want to say thank you for staying. We know that church after church is a lot. So we're grateful that you decided to stay. And I know you have some questions. I've been able to take a peek at some of them. And so I'm going to ask you when we call on you to go to the microphone, state your name and your question. Okay? Ready? Let's start first.
Hi.
My name is Godwin Gordon Pearson, and my question is, how did you become a pastor?
It was a long journey, Deacon Godwin. I had a career in marketing and communications and public relations, and I loved it. And I belonged to the New Hope Baptist Church right here in Newark over on Sussex Avenue. And there was an opportunity for lay people to speak one time in the life of the church. And I spoke with two other young men. The title of my first ever message was Humility and Justice for All. Mm-hmm. And while I was speaking, the senior pastor was praising and shouting and clapping. And while the two young men were speaking, he sat there with his arms folded, like some people do when I'm preaching. And he called me in his office after and he said, "Daughter, if you would acknowledge your call to ministry, we would begin your ordination process right now." I was in my early 20s and I loved my job. I was traveling around the country and doing stuff. And I said, "That's very nice, Reverend, but I don't feel called to ministry." And a little tear ran down his cheek. And then from that time, the Spirit just kind of started messing with me. You're supposed to be doing this. But I still didn't think I would be a senior pastor because I had not seen very many women in that role. And the churches that did have a couple women as pastors didn't have any men in the churches. And I always wanted to pastor a church with whole families, fathers and sons and daughters and mothers. And so I knew that I wanted to be an executive pastor, which is like the second person at a church, the senior pastor and then the executive pastor. I knew I wanted to do that. And over the years in serving in that role, the Lord started showing me that I really was called to be a senior pastor and that I could do it. And here we are.
Hey. That is a wonderful question, Deacon Godwin. Now, I want to ask you, Deacon Godwin is his title. Can you talk about youth and how they can serve in the church?
One of the things I'm most excited about is that our session and congregation voted to have youth deacons. And we have not just Deacon Godwin, but also Deacon Conlon. And they have 1-year terms because they also still have school and life and all their other functions. Mm-hmm. But it gives them a chance early on to see what church leadership is like, mm-hmm. that it's not for, like I said, the generation above. Mm-hmm. They should serve as well. And so we're really excited about that.
Yes, and so am I. Thank you so much again, Deacon Godwin. Okay, I think I have another question. I'm going to ask Jaden to come up and share his question.
My name is Jamie Logan. My question is, what challenges do you face when becoming a pastor?
What challenges do you face? There are many, particularly because I am a woman and I came up in the Baptist church prior to coming here to First Presbyterian. There are many who believe that pastoring is for men, and they use certain scriptures out of context. I mentioned in my sermon today about how important context is in the Bible. But one of the challenges is one that people face in the world when they're looking for jobs and people don't want to hire you because you don't have experience, and you won't have experience until you get the job. So thank goodness I had the opportunity to serve in that number 2 spot and do a lot of pastoral things that helped me overcome some of the challenges that your average associate minister would face, never having led a whole church.
Hey, is that sufficient for you? All right. Thank you again for your question, Jaden. Wonderful. And thank you for your thorough answers. I've sat across from people that just had yes and no answers. We knew we were going to get more than yes and no answers from Pastor Carol. Okay. Ayele is not here, but she did leave a question for you, and so I'm going to ask it on her behalf. What do you enjoy most about serving as a pastor?
One of the things I really enjoy about serving in a regular space week after week that I didn't get to do when I was an itinerant preacher is preaching sermons. Taking the time to teach and preach and help people really understand a concept over a period of time. It's a sustained conversation. Another thing I like very much about being a pastor of a Presbyterian church is having the session to work with.
Oh, wow.
We have committees over chair people over different areas, and those chair people have responsibility of leadership that I share with them. And sometimes being a solo pastor with no associate ministers, you have an awful lot of work to do. It is still a lot of work, but you know, if you have people around you to help you, it's a joy and less work.
Yes, it is tough to carry the load, and you do it gracefully, and so we thank you.
To God be the glory.
I'm going to also ask, for young people, what is your preference to be called? Do you want to be called Pastor, Reverend Doctor, Dr. Patterson? What's your preference?
I like Pastor Carol.
Pastor Carol it is. Pastor Carol it is. All right. All right.
My name is Ojo Cole. My question for you is, what is your testimony?
I have so many, but we can't be here too long, so I'm going to tell you my big testimony. My favorite scripture is Luke 1:45 that says, "Blessed is she who believes that the things that the Lord told her would happen." And God has promised me some stuff, and I see those promises becoming true. So my testimony is that with God, nothing is impossible.
Amen.
Woo.
Amen.
Wow. I don't know about you, but I feel like we're having church after church. I'm very encouraged by this. I'm very encouraged by this.
Can I say one more thing about young
Sure.
people?
Please do.
I'm so excited that we recently had a whole confirmation class.
Yes, we did.
We baptized some young people. We reaffirmed some other people's commitment. But now that all of these young people that are in this audience and asking these questions are full-fledged members of the church.
I'm so glad you shared that, because that's a powerful piece. I know when I was younger, I'm not sure what, and we're Baptist church in the beginning. So when I was younger, I remember not really having a voice as a young person. They used to say that little girls should be seen and not heard, and children should be seen and not heard. So we would dress up, but we never had a voice. And so having full-fledged membership is such an honor. And I'm so glad that you have positioned these young people to be able to do that. So thank
It is exciting. It is exciting. And I'm grateful to those who helped prepare them for confirmation and their parents, because that's a testament to their parents having faith at home. There's so many churches where people this age are not interested in the things of God. So I'm excited.
Yay. And while we're out, can we shout out some of the people that work with the young people?
Yes, we can. We should. I want to give thanks to our youth ministry team, which is led by you and comprised of Elder Josie, Elder April, Sister Salamine, who is not with us. They're the primary people that take the lead, and they have extended support from Deacon James, Elder April's husband, and anybody who we've ever asked to do anything for our young people. The answer has always been yes.
Yes.
So I'm grateful for the whole church, but especially those who are working with our youth.
Yay, excited. Yes, we all consider young people an investment. So we're investing in you and we're excited about it.
Yes.
I'm going to ask Miss Evelyn if she will represent the ladies today and ask her question.
My name is Evelyn. My question is, are you the only pastor in your family?
I am the only pastor in my family, Evelyn. I'm also the only preacher in my family. Want to hear a funny story about that? I know you do. I see you hiding that smile. My Aunt Annie, years ago, when I was starting to feel my call to ministry, came to church with me. She was sitting next to me. And the assistant pastor at that church was kind of handsome. And she said, "You don't feel called to preach. You just want to marry that man." I looked at her. And thank God, years later, she came to me and said, "I apologize for that day. I never should have said that to you, but I just hadn't seen a woman pastor before."
Wow, that was good. Good. Thank you for sharing that. I think the backstory is important because oftentimes we might have dreams or desires or things that we want to do as young people. And sometimes people kind of squash our dreams. Sometimes they put the fire out. Well, this is proof positive that you can keep dreaming. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can do and you can get it done. And so I'm so glad. And even that full circle moment of the apology is important.
Yes, it was major.
Yeah, that's huge. So thank you for sharing.
You know how rare it is for an adult to apologize to a child, especially back in the day?
Yes, yes. But the truth is that sometimes we adults get it wrong. Sometimes we get it wrong. And so it takes a very big adult, a mature adult, to be able to apologize.
Yes.
Thank you. I see somebody trying to avoid my gaze, but you want to go ahead and ask your question now?
Hello, my name is Coleman Gold, and my question to you is, what is your go-to prayer?
Deacon Comlin, my go-to prayer is Father in heaven. I say it often when people get on my nerves, when something's too hard, when something surprises me, which is kind of rare, but sometimes it does. But Father in heaven is a whole expression, and I love it. And that one and my Lord.
I am so glad you shared that because I think oftentimes one of the things that was intimidating to me when I was younger is that I thought you had to have these long Our Father, prayers and whoso art thou and whatsoever and all that. But those were two very short prayers and they get the job done. And so you can do some short prayers and you can also do spot prayers. And so thank you for sharing that.
Well, I think about when Jesus was teaching about prayer and he said the ultra religious people stand there and have much words and all pious and all that stuff. But all the one that Jesus was pleased with said was, "Have mercy."
Have mercy. 2 words.
And so it's appropriate to have long prayers in certain settings, but we don't always have that kind of time.
Right. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Good job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are getting marching through these questions. They're good ones too. Kudos to all of you for asking such really important questions. Let me see. Daniel.
My name is Daniel Ego, and my question is, how long were you in school and did you go to college?
I went to college and I've been in school forever. I'm like Wakanda. I went to undergraduate at Fairleigh Dickinson in Teaneck, New Jersey. I went there wanting to be a newscaster. I thought I would be like on Channel 2 or something, but you see I'm a little thick. And back then, professors could say stuff to you that they're not supposed to now. And my professor told me that I was too big to have a career in broadcasting, that I would need to go to a tertiary market. That meant 3rd tier. And growing up here in New York and New Jersey in the #1 media market in the country, the thought of going to Baltimore or somewhere to get started was like, are you kidding me? So I changed to public relations. And after that, I had a career in PR. And I went to a certificate program at New York Theological Seminary to learn about Christian education. Why did I do that? I'm so glad you asked. I was in charge of Christian education at another church, and I felt like if I was going to teach people about Christian education, I should understand a little bit of something about Christian education. So I got this certificate, and while I was earning it, I had such a thirst for the Word of God. It was like insatiable that when I finished the certificate program, I went to seminary. And I was in seminary for 3 years at Drew Theological School in Madison. You didn't know the answer was going to be this long, did you? And while I was at Drew Theological School in Madison, I got an opportunity to leave my career in marketing and do full-time ministry. And my mother, who's in heaven now, probably watching this talk show, said that I was doing PR for a better client. That was God. I love the fact that she said that. I keep it in my bio because I think it was so special. I got my Master's of Divinity, and as a woman in ministry, your brother asked about challenges, it was still difficult to get to where I wanted to be in ministry. So then I thought I wanted a PhD. And I went to Princeton to get a master's in theology. I focused on the New Testament. My first love is teaching. I can preach because God called me to do it, but I'm becoming more confident as a pastor now, thank God. But I was going to study New Testament, and I wanted to go to Vanderbilt and get a PhD in the Bible. The person I wanted to study went on sabbatical. That means they were on leave for a year. When they're on leave, you can't get in their program. So I was like, Father, my favorite prayer, Father in heaven. And then I went back to Drew to get a Doctor of Ministry degree. Told you I've been in school forever. And I got that Doctor of Ministry degree and became the first woman to get ordained at Calvary Baptist Church in Morristown, New Jersey. Woo. And now, one more thing to tell you before you go. I don't think I'm going to enroll in any more school, but thank God I told you I love teaching, and this fall I'm going to be teaching church history for New Brunswick Theological Seminary. School forever.
Good. This is good. And what a full circle moment. So that's great. Great to hear. What I do love about it is that your pursuit of education. I think a lot of times we're all looking forward to the summer because school is almost up in June. But there are other ways to learn. There are other ways to learn, whether we meet in the summer, whether or not you're learning from church, whether or not you're learning from Sunday school. There are other ways to learn. And so I think being a lifelong learner is really, really important. The things that you understand now at this age may become different as you grow older. And there may have having a thirst, you said, for the word was really important because that's going to navigate and help you get through life. And so we want to make sure that we continue to nurture that thirst here at First Church.
And I believe strongly, as long as you're alive, the Lord expects you to keep learning. When you think you know everything, that's a dangerous place.
Yeah, very dangerous, very dangerous. I do see one person whose list is not here but hasn't asked a question yet. Go on.
My name is Koku Go, and my question is, how long have you been a pastor?
I have been a pastor here since November of 2024. I served as a transitional pastor at a church called Federated in Livingston for 2 years. And I served as an associate pastor at First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens in Somerset for 2 years. And an associate pastor at Calvary Baptist Church in Morristown for 14 years.
So all of that means that your pastor is prepared to pastor.
And I look good for my age.
And she looks good for her age. And she looks good for her age. So I do have a question that I wanted to ask. And I know that sometimes we have different visions for ourselves when we're younger. Did you want to be a pastor when you were younger? Or what is it that you wanted to be? I know you mentioned wanting to be a newscaster, but was that from birth?
No, when I was younger, a little girl, I wanted to be a teacher. Both of my grandmothers were teachers, and whenever we got to play and I got to pick the game, we played school and I was the teacher.
I love that because you teach now. It's so amazing how even that small seed from when you were young has blossomed and bloomed into what we have here today.
Now, can I tell you one more thing about adult speaking stuff for you, like you were saying earlier? The newscaster thing didn't come until later in life, but I love the story that my mother tells me. My Aunt Elsie, when I was young, I used to like to tell her stories. And when she would come over to spend time with my parents, she would first come in my room and ask me what story I had for her. And she said that I was going to be a newscaster. I didn't know that until after I tried to declare that major. That's when I learned the story.
Oh, wow.
Now, my brother, my oldest brother, used to call me Eyewitness because this is a funny story, y'all. I just got to tell it because I get to be on the talk show. One evening, my brother said he would take me to White Castle. And we stopped by one woman's house. We stayed there a good little while, like about 15 minutes, he's talking to this woman. This is long before cell phones and stuff, so in case you wonder why he didn't text her. And we had to sit there, and then I wanted to go to White Castle after that. And he was like, we just got to make one more stop. We sat at some other woman's house for another 15 minutes. So I said, we're going to White Castle now. The third woman's house, I said, look, you promised me to go to White Castle, and all we've been doing is stopping by these women's houses in front of the woman. And he was like, okay, eyewitness. And that was my nickname from then on.
No experiences are wasted in time. You earned the nickname from that one. Oh, that's amazing. That is such good. Thank you, Pastor Carol, for allowing us to peek behind the veil. I think you shared some very, very personal stories with all of us, and we are so excited about it. I also thank you for creating space for our young people to be able to ask the questions that were on their heart. I thank you all for understanding the assignment and making sure that you filled it out. I thank Elder April and Elder Josie for all of their hard work and this wonderful set. And we also thank our cameraman, Joe, for doing what Joe does. We also want to thank all the parents for staying after church, and we really appreciate your support. This is the first of many Chat and Choose, where we look forward to having continued conversations. So if there's ever a question on your mind, we want you to write it down. If there's a guest that you want to have, whether they're in the church or outside of the church, let us know. We'll be back here at First Church Chat and Chew next time, same station.
And thank you, Reverend Shonda, for being an excellent host.
Thank you.